You sound kind of stoned.
I'm not stoned.
You're not.
No, I'm
Now,
just a little bit high.
you sound so incredibly stoned when you say you're not stoned.
You should snort cocaine off of my ass.
I-
Why are you laughing so hard at that?
I'm laughing because that's like the ideal thing to say to me. I would love to do that.
I figured.
The big hormone enneagram.
Let me lay it on the line. I got a little freakiness inside. Let you know that the man has got to deal with it.
Hi, I'm John Lukovich, sexual self-pres 4-5 wing 458 trifix.
Hi, I'm David Gray, self-pres sexual 9-1 974 trifix.
What up? It's Emeka. I'm an 8-wing-7, sexual self-pres with 854 fixes.
Hi, I'm Nancy. I am a self-pres social 3, wing 4, with a 369 trifix. If you like our podcast, guys, make sure you go like and subscribe on the Apple Podcast app. And if you really like us, you should definitely leave us a review. That's why I said it.
Oh, that's funny. That generally, leads to other things, but
Oh, darn.
oh darn, gosh, golly.
Oh, darn. Except I'm on a downer, so, like, you would have to, toss me around like a rag doll or something.
Well, you continue to speak good words, my friend.
That's so entertaining.
Nancy's really stoned, John.
I'm not that stoned.
No, you're way over the top.
I'm not stoned.
No, she's just making a total fool of herself.
I haven't drank since I don't think since New York, actually.
Jesus, nice. Wow.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I decided to smoke instead of drink tonight because my friends were like, let's do a cocktail tasting party for New Year's. And I was like, oh, Jesus. So,
This year, I wouldn't have predicted that I would be so into fucking doing an Enneagram podcast, but here we are. Like, I'm into it. I'm really into it. And it's really cool to see how that's one of the things I wanted to get into. Is like this year was like a shitty year on so many levels, but this has been a really cool thing about 2020 is this podcast. Like,
Dude,
this,
yeah,
I fucking
it's gotten me
love this
through.
podcast.
It's gotten me through 2020.
Like we have this thing that we do every week, and we love doing it. And that was just a really cool discovery that, initially it's like, oh, I'm gonna have to do this podcast, and I was like, no, I get to do this podcast. I fucking get to. This is so much fun.
And people actually listen to it, and therapists recommend it, which is fucking crazy to me.
Yeah.
I posted, Emeka, you sent me something about like a review where somebody said my therapist recommended it. And I posted that, and two people that are therapists were like, I also recommend it to all my clients.
That's awesome.
And it really says a lot about one of the most important episodes that we've ever done or the series Object Relations, how much of a big deal that series is. I mean, it's been a big deal for us, and we were on it, but like how much of a big deal it is for everyone who's ever been exposed to what we're doing. Like, there's nothing else on the internet anywhere available that explains object relations to that degree. And it's just really fucking cool that happened with our shit, not like Ruts Hudson or whoever, like esteemed Enneagram teacher, but it happened on our fucking pod and people are referencing it. And that's why therapists are recommending us. And it's like, that's one of the highlights of this year.
Yeah, definitely. I think we need to all write a book together that's like
synthesizing
a lot of our shit, because our discussions bring up original insights and points that aren't found anywhere else. And
who would buy our book? Big Hormone Guide to the Enneagram or something.
Yeah, totally.
Almost every podcast I listen to has a book. So
really, yeah. I mean, I've loved our trifix stuff too, because you just see the garbage stuff out there, and I already feel like it's changing the conversation on trifix.
It did. In a big way. I think a lot of Catherine people are really salty about it because because it's just like a very fucking good resource. Like, it's not. I mean, Catherine has put out like videos explaining all the different trifixes, and people are referencing this more than anything she's ever done, or because it's just more, actually useful and funny and all that stuff.
And like, I've said to other people, I don't know if I said here, but like, you might not know like a scholar, whatever, but you know a robo celibate. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
you know these motherfuckers.
Yep.
But also,
Absolutely.
I also have appreciated just like organically the attitude that we naturally have.
Mm-hmm.
The mixture of like we're very into the spirituality and we're very into the humor and we're very into sexuality and we don't sort of none of us adopt like the breathy teacher voice.
That's I don't even know what that. Like it's hard for me to even imagine.
Yeah, right. And I mean like, like I've taught like with Russ like, like very formal advanced spiritual like an Enneagram retreats or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very comfortable teaching from that place, but at the same time, sometimes when you do, people project that you ought to be the perfect person then. You know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And so it's been really nice to be able to traverse like, sincere spirituality with like our dumb humor and just normal personness on this podcast and just be a person and not have to like I feel like it's been because it's like such a direct line to how our personalities are.
Yeah.
There's a way that we don't have to struggle with that dichotomy quite in the same way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like when we first got started, I mean, I definitely felt awkward with this format of knowing that people were listening to you in the sense that I don't know, you have to be somewhat polished or something, and eventually you're just like, fuck it, I'm just me, and I think I don't know. At some point this year, everyone just kind of got comfortable being, doing this,
Right.
and our personalities start to really come through. And I think that's what people really feel listening to us, just how authentically ourselves we are, and that we're
Hmm.
not hiding anything. Or like I mean, I get comments from people all the time, and just how like genuine the pod feels. That I don't think people really get to listen to podcasts, at least in the Enneagram world or spirituality, where people are just like regular fucking people,
Right.
warts and all.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's really it's the really cool thing that we're all just ourselves on this thing, but we're all at the same time still into peeling back these layers and really interested in it, but we're not pretending to be fucking pious teachers and everything. It's funny to me because like someone like David's been like attacked for certain things online, but it's like on here he's every bit as much as the creep that he is. It's like it's funny reading some of the comments of people who check out the pod is like, yeah, that David guy is such a creep, but he really likes being a creep, and I'm like, fuck yeah, we're all creeps. It's called Big Hormone fucking Enneagram. That's the name of the goddamn show. We don't pretend like I feel like we're just wearing our fucking horribleness or whatever people think is horrible about us on our sleeves, and we're still doing inner work. And so it's like people can't, to get the good stuff, they have to deal with us as human beings, and it's just so hilarious to me.
And you
Yeah.
can't hate on us because we're so open about it. It's like, yeah, we
Exactly.
already said that on the pod. Thank you for pointing
Yes.
it out.
Or I talked about how the bio of the show is alluding to how toxic, potentially toxic, the information might be. You need to, listener discretion is advised. So it's like you've been warned, and disclaimers and all that stuff. And the information is here. So fuck you if you have a problem with it. But you got to come to us if you want that object relationship. We're the only ones.
Like, I mean, I think the only prohibition Jesus made in the fucking Bible was against ostentatious prayer, meaning like
Mm-hmm.
showing people how spiritual you are.
Yep.
I'm like, I take that fucking pretty seriously because it's like I've seen people that very intimately and up close who have and wear the pretense of spiritual people and how fucked up they are.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's like as soon as you start believing that you're somehow exempt from being a fucked up person, you're more fucked up than ever,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and you're not fucking better than anybody. Nobody's better than anybody. It's like whether that's some sort of like a colloquial, like, yeah, everybody's the same, nobody's better than anybody kind of thing, or whether it's like a
Mhm.
spiritual realization is like the realization spiritually is that you're no fucking better than anybody else. Like we're all as on a central level, we're all the same,
Mhm.
and that those distinctions that we uphold as giving us value or bringing us closer to God or whatever fucking ever, it's all an illusion that we just get attached to. So that's where like compassion and all that kind of shit can happen is like, or sympathetic joy, like the Buddhist sense of sympathetic joy, where you're like actually genuinely joyful for somebody else's good fortune, which is very
Mhm.
rare for people that are in their normal personality. Is like comes from recognizing that we're all the same. It's like somebody's joy is like it's something to celebrate, even if you don't have any joy yourself.
Mhm. Yeah, just the level of people sending in messages that they would have quit the Enneagram
Yeah,
if not for this
totally.
podcast, and I think there's just a sense of realness. I mean, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, just real people. I mean, we are all kind of characters, interesting characters, but at the same time, it's like we're not trying to present anything other than who we are, and I think people can really feel that genuineness, and it's just cool to be like working on something which is not really work, but just being ourselves, exploring the Enneagram, having fun every week. It's like this has been the easiest, most enjoyable thing that I've ever done.
Yeah, yeah, and like I know I'm a fucking white dude, but like something I've appreciated just so like as a context for what I'm about to say, like, I've been going to Enneagram conferences since I was like 19 or something.
Mhm.
And they're all like super white and professional and like the white professional kind of veneer of things, even like this like self-help, whatever. It's like this whole kind of milieu that's felt very stiff, like everybody's just playing a character. And so
Yeah.
like I appreciate like a lot of our guests have been of different backgrounds and different
Mhm.
whatever, and it's never been like an explicit aim to be like let's include diversity, hashtag or whatever, but it's just naturally been that way. And it kind of like I'm hoping um the Enneagram can kind of grow. Like I'm part of the reason I resist the evangelical Christian Enneagram, of many reasons besides its like complete intellectual bankruptcy,
Yep.
is that it just further whiteifies it. You know what I
It's
mean?
it's really
And
white. Like
it's
those
really
people
white.
are really, really, really white.
And it's not like to just to be like pandering to some kind of woke terminology, but like there's a, as we've talked about before, there's a relationship between what we call whiteness and class that dominates a lot of our cultural discourse, that is really detrimental to fucking everything. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
to
Yeah, yeah.
so I just like appreciate how like our delivery. I don't know if like our audience continues to be as diverse as like
I think
like
it's inevitable. Like you look at astrology, for example, like the audience for astrology is so diverse. And like you look at astrology memes on Instagram and different kinds of people that run those accounts that are into astrology. Um, I think there's something about like that field or whatever that's because it's not like accepted as a corporate workshop type of thing, that it opens the door for just a wide variety of people to be into. Whereas the Enneagram has been largely co-opted by professional self-help people
right,
and white evangelicals, and so they culturally dominated to such a degree that you don't realize that a lot of non-white people could be into the Enneagram, kind of like
right,
astrology. So I think that's what is unique about our approach, because there's some cultural facts about the way we're doing things that clashes with white American culture, that I don't think it's possible that it would ever just be just white people that are into what we're doing, because there's some real, just the fact that we're real and we're not shying away from just telling it like it is. That's a clash right there with most
yeah,
white people in terms of white culture. We've talked about that. But no, I think our approach and the fact that we are diverse and we have diverse perspectives, it's almost like, everyone that each of us would have been kicked out of most of these white dominated groups, and that's what happened. And so the fact that we represent sort of what they don't accept, it means that we are attracting. Look at the people that we attract, even the people
yeah,
that hit us up for typings and things like that. These are all kind of like fringe personalities.
yeah,
um and so we're always going to be that, because that's just the core of like what we're about, is that we aren't, we're not like the typical white whatever beige personality.
for sure. Yeah, like I mean, even looking over our, I just briefly scrolled through our like fucking
List.
yeah, on the iPad app, like our episode list. Yeah, I'm drunk. For I don't know when Emika's editing whatever, but we all decided to be like either drunk or high or both when we recording this year end episode. And
I
so I'm
might
drunk.
pop a brownie. I think I might get a weed brownie.
Do it.
I've been
All right.
consistently smoking this whole time.
All right. Yeah.
Trying
So
to keep
I'm
my
drunk. I'm drunk and I want to add more stuff to it.
I'm drunk and yeah.
Hey, peoples, this is us, BHE crew. We are drunk. It's the end of the year, and we're talking about 2020, talking about the year and reflecting and just shit talking, whatever. We want to look at some stats, how we did, and
Reflecting on the pod itself.
yes,
And how
give
our
some
lives
awards
are.
and acknowledgements. You
And
know,
they're all going to me. Thank you.
I want to talk about like who we've had a lot of guests this year.
We have had a lot of guests.
We've had a lot of guests, and we could talk about who's your favorite guests. Give some shout outs. And people have sent us money.
Courtney.
Let's talk about who sent us the most money. I want to shout
Oh
that
yeah, thanks to all the people who are sending us money.
BB.
BB.
Our baby BB. We love you, BB.
Yeah,
Mommy.
we love you so much.
She loves us. She's helped us out the most this year.
Our patroness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually thought more people would send in more money. I think that's one of the things I'm going to work on next year. Is just make it easy for people to send us money. Remind them that they should be sending us money.
Yeah.
We should be getting more money. That should be happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, we put a lot of work into this shit.
I mean, we do it anyway, but we
Yeah.
do put a lot of work.
We would.
Yeah, like I feel like a lot of our content has been good and fun, and it's just like nice to be able to when you're like online and everybody's like referencing bad material, that you're able to like point to your own shit and be like, hey, check this out.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We've covered this year most of like the basic stuff that people ask about. Like, I need help with Trifix. Boom, boom, boom. Link.
Yeah.
Or Trifix episodes. Or I need, I'm trying to understand the lines of connection. Boom, boom, boom. We hit that. We hit
Okay, that
so
was
many
good.
things.
Mhm.
Yeah, like all the basic types. We hit that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this first year was great in terms of like anyone who wants to sort of get a basic understanding of the Enneagram. We got them covered.
Yeah, I think we should revisit next year our panels, like or
Mhm.
having
Yeah.
guests on.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they're good what we did, and I feel like I fucking learned a lot just this year, just doing this with
Mhm.
y'all.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
yeah, I mean that's like I'm fucking drunk, whatever, but like that's one of the things that has been so good about this podcast too, is like I get to talk to y'all on a regular basis, like
Right.
being fucking social blinds. Like
Yeah.
we would never talk, except for Nancy, but like we would never talk to each other, like
Pretty
this and
much.
stuff.
Yeah, that's one
been-
of the things I was going to say that I appreciate as a social blind is how easy it is for me to stay in my own cocoon of non-communication. Like even just me, David, and John, just how often do we get together and it's usually like when somebody's having a crisis, then we're like, let's get on the phone. Let's talk about it.
Right.
But other than that, like we don't
Well-
talk on a regular basis.
It's either we're handling a crisis or like fucking having a blowout party, and so
That's how you know that we got the good friends, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Here for the crisis and the party.
Yeah, so this is the most that we've been, talking on a regular basis, and it's been really, I don't know, it's like the social blind. We're not realizing how much you appreciate your friends or
Yeah.
just hanging out with your friends. Like every now and then we hang out like maybe once or twice a year, and it's like, man, I really like that. But then you just go back into your fucking self-contained cocoon and you forget that, that was cool. But with doing the pod every week, it was just like this continual like weekly grounding of in conversation with your friends, and like I just underestimated how much of an impact that would make in a year like this, whereas like this year felt amazing.
Yeah.
Despite everything that went down in the background, like doing this pod just really made this year awesome. It really did. Just like regularly talking to people is actually a really cool and fun thing to do. Like this is why people schedule phone calls with their friends.
Regularly talking to dope people.
Talking to people. Yeah, I agree with everything.
Good one.
Yeah.
It's been a revelation on multiple levels. Like, oh, I really like talking. Yeah.
That is the thing about being social last. It's like, oh yeah, I actually do like talking to people. Wow, I forgot about that.
That's why I have to call David every couple of weeks to check in on him because he's never gonna do it for me.
Yeah. Do you remember me?
You know I exist. Yeah, I will say, being the only somewhat social, having social in my top two,
Mhm.
being with all of you guys is like it is a lesson in learning that people don't purposefully ignore me.
Yeah,
You
you
feel
should.
ignored, Nancy? You feel ignored?
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
Nancy,
Yeah.
how many times have we been like, Nancy, we want you to talk more. We want you to participate more.
It's a cycle in my brain. I'm telling you, it doesn't make any sense. My
We-
brain is not logical.
I mean, all of us, like, we just sort of jump the fuck in for whatever. We don't make room for. That's definitely an issue we have is we don't make room. But like, we want you to talk. We
Yeah.
I've talked to both these guys. Have been like, I want Nancy to participate more. You know, like I
Aw.
want to hear your voice. I want to hear what you have to
But
say.
you know what?
Yeah.
To that point, there was a point towards the later half of this year where like it felt like everybody was firing on all cylinders in terms of like there was a couple pods, like I think probably my favorite pod, besides all the popular ones that anyone might say, is the Heart is an Ocean, because
I was
Yeah.
gonna
Well,
say
that was great.
that was like
Yeah.
well, it was kind of uncharted territory, like we were sort
Yeah.
of exploring, but it was like just hearing it, everybody was like contributing equally, and I feel like there was a point around that time where every pod we did after that was just like this equal mix, and it just sounds really cool. I mean, I edited the
Mhm.
thing,
Yeah.
so I get a sense of it sounds really cool when like the ball's being passed around, in terms of the conversation has a life of its own. And there was a point where we sort of like that just became what it was every single time. And so like I don't know, like Nancy, you felt at some point you felt really comfortable, like and we all felt pretty comfortable, and it was sort of this equal mix, and I really noticed that there was a shift, definitely.
Yeah, after that podcast, I remember thinking like that. I think it was that podcast was right after like we had just had a guest on before that
Mhm.
podcast.
Mhm.
And we hadn't had like a podcast where it was just us four in
Mhm.
so long. And so when it was just us four, I was like, oh, I can fucking breathe again.
Yeah.
Like, not that I don't like having guests on, but it's always like I never, I'm that three
Yeah.
where I'm like, oh, I'm trying to like morph into what you feel comfortable around. Like, bleh.
Right. Okay, let's do this first segment of like what are the most downloaded episodes
Hmm.
of the year, the top 10.
Ooh. Should we get like you should edit in a drum roll.
I
Top
will edit
10?
in a jump. Yeah, top 10 most downloaded episodes. Number one hit, the thing that put us on the map first was the Making Nines Great Again, the first episode.
Hmm.
People
Those were great. I thought
Yeah,
those
that-
were very good.
Yeah, that was
Like
the
all.
first.
Can we do three? Like all three, or
No. Just the first one
Yeah.
is the one thing that I think more people have referenced, other
Hmm.
than the object relations daggers to the heart. That's why I think the object relations daggers to the heart is probably the most popular thing we've done, because that came much later and that just shot to the top in terms of most shared and most listened to. But Making Nines Great Again is the most downloaded and listened to thing. It's like neck and neck with object relations. So because object relations was episode 36,
Mhm.
and the Making Nines Great Again was episode 10, that means object relations is definitely a bigger hit. So those are number one and number two. Number three is the Trifixation roasts.
Yes, those were fun. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed those.
So all of the Trifixation roasts, well, the 1 and 2 are in the top 10, and then the Trifixation how-to guide is number 4. So that topic, that series is up there. And then object relations number 2 is number 5. And so you can kind of see where Making Nice Great Again, Trifixation, object relations, those are the top episodes that we've done. And then in terms of the type interviews, the type 4 interview was next for obvious reasons. So everyone's obsessed with type 4s. And then you've got the intro, the first episode, which is at like number 7. Then let's talk about sex. The first time we talked about sex, which is the 4th episode, is right after that.
what was the whole topic there? I mean, what was?
It was just the first time we talked about the sexual instinct. I think the title of the show is Libidinal Energy and the Sexual Instinct. It was the first time we talked about the sexual instinct. This is back when our episodes sucked because I was barely doing any editing. Back then.
Well, so I mean, that brings up a good point because, like, I mean, Emeka, you do a great fucking job editing.
Oh my
And it's
God,
like a
you-
lot
Thank
of
you.
work,
Time.
and it's
Thank
like
you.
Yeah.
not lost on at least me, and I don't think
Yeah,
anybody else
totally.
here how much work that's got to be.
Oh, every
Thank you.
time I listen to it, I'm pressing
Yeah.
play, like about to ready to cringe because I know how I'm gonna sound, and then you make me sound amazing. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
thank God.
Same. Same.
Yeah, I know our enemies are listening, and I want to make sure that they feel regret and shame and every bad emotion that they've ever thought of, and how excellent we are at what we do.
Yeah,
That's perfect.
you know, so did you say Making Nine Great Again was the first number
Yeah,
one?
that's the most downloaded, but Object Glitch is probably the most popular in terms
Yeah.
of.
Well, I mean, like, so I mean, that's been an important thing, even before my current situation, is making sure that nines get the credit they're due, because I mean, there's so much idealization of four, but a lot of the idealization of four is based on nine traits being
Yes.
injected into four, and so it's really an idealization of nine in a certain way.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like, give the kings and queens their due. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like,
Absolutely.
and especially if a lot of the population is that type, like, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a
Right.
type that has a hard time seeing their own gifts directly.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So it's like I mean, how much of the world could be healed if nines like recognize their value? You know?
Yeah, I really liked the sixes too, because I feel the
Mhm.
sixes kind of have the same plight of like
Yes.
not being able to see their gifts, and so I really enjoyed when we deep
I'm
dived into sixes. They were really
Yeah.
cool.
I'm starting to like sixes. Just starting.
After years of relationships with sixes.
Yeah,
He's starting to somewhat like them. I was gonna say I
Yeah.
have a pretty strong six fix, hun. So
Well, that's helping a lot. of
It's a
course.
hate-love relationship with sixes. It's like we love to hate you. That's what it is. I guess the object relations, because it wasn't the Making Nice Great Again. Only one, the first episode was in the top 10, but all of the trifix stuff was there, and the type in terms of type interviews, the type 4 and then the type 8. Those are the two that were in the top 10. But I mean, it gets that's a good summary of like what people really responded to this year. It's Making Nines Great Again, object relations, trifix, and then type 4
What
and
about
type 8.
those ones where? What about those ones where we did all the centers? God is king, and the
Yeah, those are
Those
great.
did those
Those
did
are
really
really good.
really well. I'm sure they're like, if I looked at the top 20, they'd be right there. They were big. They were hits. Like I can tell within one day if an episode is a hit or not.
Mhm.
And
I was just listening to that gut one again today.
yeah, those are great. Those were, because I mean, those weren't really, we didn't even plan those. It just sort of happened that way.
That's
Like
true.
yeah.
the gut thing happened, and then we sort of just followed that theme. And that's one of my favorite things about
Mhm.
this thing is like we just go, we don't, like, we have some ideas sometimes of what we're gonna do, but a lot of times we just end up somewhere, and I listen to it when I edit, and it's like, this is what the episode is.
Hmm.
But no one envisioned that that's what it
Planned it,
was.
yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
it just sort of happened that way, and that's like the coolest thing about it is the sense of we don't know where we're going, but we're gonna end up somewhere good.
Yeah, and I feel like the lack of plan makes our podcasts better. Like when we
Oh, yeah.
have more of a plan, they
Totally.
seem like not as good, which
Yeah.
seems counterintuitive to me, but
Unless we're shit talking, we're planning to shit talk, and that's always good.
yeah, that's always good.
Yeah, so those are the most popular things that we did. So question for everybody, outside of these episodes, which episode was your favorite? And I've already said mine. Mine was I think the Heart is an Ocean, maybe alternatively the Escape Mistyping Hell. I love those two episodes in terms of just, I could listen to those episodes over and over again in terms of like the flow of it and how it wasn't, no one had a plan. We just sort of went a certain direction, and where it ended up, like what it ended up becoming. Those are my two. Those are the episodes that stand out to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on the Heart is an Ocean one. That one was really fun for me to record with you guys.
I talked to who did I talk to this week? I was talking Michael Teaches with someone, and he said he listened to that episode and he heard about how impactful it was for us, but he didn't he didn't know what the fuck we were talking about. It was like
That's
he's
funny.
like yeah, it was just funny to me because he didn't is he like emotional. I think he's heart last, and we were talking from a Michael Teaching's perspective, where he didn't have any emotional centering. I didn't have any emotionally centering. I don't have any emotionally centering either. And just from the perspective of he's like, I don't get the emotional heart space, and he's like, I listened to the episode, I don't understand what the big deal was. And I'm like, yeah, that's why it was a big deal for me, because I finally got it, and for the split second I had it. And but I understand where he's coming from, where he's like, he didn't get like why that was such a big deal.
Yeah, that's why.
For me, when the whole thing started to get good was the call where it was the Trifix guide part 1.
Oh yeah.
For me, that's kind of where it starts. Where we
Okay.
got past whatever the early
Stuff
jitters
was.
were. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, for me. So everything from that's like, I don't know if is that like episode 31?
30, 31, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
The
Oh,
how-to
yeah.
guide was 31.
You're right.
Yeah.
There was a point where it's like, all right, everyone's just being themselves now. We don't give a shit. You
Yeah.
know, like you forget there's an audience, you forget that you recorded. It's just like,
Yeah, no, those early ones were like, yeah, I didn't, I couldn't find myself in those first ones.
Yeah, those first ones were uncomfortable. I was
Yeah.
like, why did I agree to this?
Yeah.
yeah, it makes me wonder, like, how many things would be really into and really love if I could just get over the initial hump of, like,
Well, that's true.
I ask
like-
myself that question every day.
because I mean, I could do this for the rest of my life, and I will. And so, but it's like I wouldn't have imagined that I would be into doing, a show like this.
Yeah, the early ones, I talk a lot because I sort of felt like, like everybody
Nobody else was.
Yeah,
Nobody
everybody's sort of
else wanted
shy.
to talk.
Yeah.
But I fucking hate everything about my voice and about the way I speak, and I said, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just
I wasn't editing that stuff out back then. I wasn't.
yeah,
putting
I mean,
it up.
you edit it, and even still, like so much of that is a factor in the way I speak, and I'm kind of learning to just sort of accept this is the
Yeah.
way I speak.
Right.
But yeah, the first couple episodes were pretty uncomfortable.
That's a good point too. Just getting used to hearing your voice.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
awful.
Like
Yeah.
I'm finally there, I think. Kind of.
And like the first one, I remember we recorded the very first episode, and like Emika was like, "Okay, we should just not let anyone know when we start recording. Like, we cannot do that because the second we hit record that first time, everyone was like, I have nothing to say. We are mute, and we are completely uninteresting."
Yeah, I have not. I don't want to even go back and listen to the first episode.
No, I don't
No,
even.
please don't.
Not at all.
Like how badly I barely edited anything, so it's like all warts and all the bad like pauses. Like usually, fucking there's a pace, and the episode needs to keep that pace. And if you hit play, like it's just gonna suck you in because there's not gonna be like any like unnecessary like pause. Like if there's a pause, it's there for a reason. And so the initial episodes just like regular conversation pauses. Like nobody's trying to hear that. Nobody's trying to hear that.
Nobody's here for that.
But yeah, we've come a long way. Favorite episodes, John, David.
The gut is king one. Just listen to it again. And I did a bit of a monologue at some point, and that was I liked my monologues.
I loved what
Oh
I
my
had to
God.
say.
I just
wise.
loved listening to myself.
I love listening to myself. It was really good.
Amazing.
I listened to an earlier episode. I can't remember which one it was, but I listened to an earlier episode, and I realized, like when I was listening to it, that Emika was speeding up David's voice.
Oh my God, really?
Wait, what?
I think
No, I've
you've
never
never done
sped
that?
up. No, I've never sped up anyone's voice.
Because David was speaking so quickly, I was like, "There's no way that this is David." I was like, I just assumed Emeka had to have been speeding up your voice.
Well, you know
Must
what?
have had a cup of coffee or something.
No,
yeah,
like
cocaine.
what I do with David,
Off my ass.
what I do with David is I take out the unnecessary. I mean, I can speed up anyone to a degree that I can take off, your pauses and make it go faster. So maybe there was a point early on.
Yeah, maybe
where
that's what it was.
I was doing that to a high degree for David because it was like, he so slow. So maybe that's what it was, because like he was like so on the point and so clear. And maybe I was back then I was probably doing that too much, because now it's like I don't want to edit out what makes you who you are, like I don't
Right,
want to
yeah.
clean it up too much. So
Yeah.
like I'm leaving in more of David's mouth noises, and
Mm.
whereas before I wasn't letting any of that shit come through. So yeah.
I can't say what my favorite. I looked over our list of topics, and first of all, I think it's pretty cool that January 6th was our first episodes released. I know we recorded in 2019 a little bit that was
Mhm.
released
we did.
later, but it's like in terms of being broadcast, it's like this is totally like a complete year.
Yeah.
But I think the centers, like the gut is king, the heart is an ocean, the mind is a vision.
Yeah.
Those are probably my favorites.
Mhm.
But I mean, the Loveline call was like fun as fuck too.
Oh
It
yeah, yeah.
was so
Oh
fun.
yeah. I'm
I listened
surprised
to that
that
one twice. Yeah.
I'm surprised that people aren't going. Well, I mean, yeah, I just surprised that people aren't going. We're still gonna do that shit. I don't give a fuck. but,
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm just surprised people aren't as in. I mean, they're into it, but not as into it as I expected. Like, I
Yeah.
thought that was gonna be like a huge thing, but it's great. Like, it was one of the
so
funniest things we've
fun.
ever done.
It was so much fun.
I think people will get more into it once they hear more callers and they're like, "Oh,
Or-
this is like not scary."
I haven't checked, but let me check. But I don't think we've gotten any new voicemails, and I'm just like, why are y'all not into this shit? Like, what's wrong with y'all? Like, this is really interesting.
Yeah, maybe we should let people know that we're still taking calls.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
need
did.
to do some kind of push again on that.
3 days ago, I posted we had 666 followers on Big Hormone Instagram,
Mhm.
Yeah,
and then since then it's almost double. It's almost increased by 100.
Whoa.
that's crazy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
I think it has to do with those like why you dress like that memes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those memes are.
Those
and
were
you've been,
fire.
you've been posting, linking to the Instagram on
Yeah.
Anygram Plays for these other forums. I think that's a good idea. Just whenever
Yeah.
you upset people like that, they should see more memes. I'm always surprised that we don't have more followers. I'm like, we're putting out some amazing shit. Like,
Totally. Absolutely.
what the fuck?
Absolutely.
What the fuck? And so in terms of stats, all right, so we have currently, I think it's 59 or 60, 61 ratings on Apple Podcast, which isn't much, but
I think that's a lot.
yeah, for us, I mean, it's a lot. Pretty good.
Is there more
And-
we can be doing on just any of the other Facebook Enneagram groups to get
I
people?
mean, we did, but I mean, I think with the reality,
I mean,
is-
even if they're enemies and just people that are going to think we're evil or whatever. I mean,
the thing is, people are aware of our podcast. It's
Okay.
it's really that the same. It's the same thing that we're dealing with Enneagrammer, where people know about us. Like, they're aware of us, and they know that we're like, oh, we're supposed to be this radical group who's reimagining the Enneagram, and
Mhm.
they have black and gay people everywhere.
Those blacks
know,
and
Oh.
gays.
Like, you post a picture of OD went for the astrology podcast, and like 10
Fucking
people leave the
lost,
group.
Yeah.
I'm like-
that was wild.
That's
crazy.
fucking weird.
So it's like, as a social blind, I forget this is a thing, but I think on some level we make people uncomfortable. But people are very aware of us. They talk about the podcast, but I think it's just always going to be a fringe interest, in terms of there's going to be a very small section of people who are really excited about what we do, and that's okay. But but part of me is like, this is the best shit out there. Like, how can
What
you
else
not
are you
be?
listening to?
Exactly. Like, this is the best content, period. And we've got fucking little covens of people meeting every week to talk about listen to the podcast. Like,
Yeah. So what's the deal with them? How do we find out who those people are and get their phone numbers?
John knows everything about them.
What do I know about?
The little coven of women that meet every week to talk about the podcast.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I had a coaching call with someone, and want to respect their privacy and stuff. But they said that they have like they like talk every week about our episodes and on the pod. And I mean, I don't know if that's including other pods or other material or
It's just
whatever.
us. It's just us.
It's just us. Just us. Shout out to them.
Yeah.
That's fucking cool. Very amazing to learn about and very heartening, and appreciate it.
It's a big deal to me. Just that.
Yeah, that's so cool.
The shit that we're doing is not only entertaining, but there's enough meat here that people can have a get together and actually like delve into it. Like what that's fucking awesome.
It is kind of weird to think about, though, the amount of personal shit we get into on here. That
Oh, it's
people
all
sit
good.
around
We
and
have
listen to it.
that's one thing that's been weird recently. Just people reaching out and like realizing that they know so much about me and I don't know anything about them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like I said earlier, like I've been teaching like long before I was on this podcast, and so I never was teaching about personal stuff or who it was beyond the like what I was representing. And so it's been kind of, I don't know, interesting. Like I don't know how many people that I've actually had as students are listening to this or anything, but
All of them.
all of them.
They know
Yeah,
all about your life.
I never try to present myself as any different than I am. But you never know who projects what and whatever. But it's kind of a relief in a way, like because having worked for Russ for so many years, I was a little bit worried about being in the position Russ is in, where people project all kinds of shit onto him.
Yeah.
And I don't like I feel like I think I have some valuable things to contribute to the Enneagram or people's inner work, whatever. But I don't want the burden of having to pretend like I'm
The
like
next Messiah.
yeah. And like what is inner work and inner development if you're not human anymore?
Yeah.
It's like you should be able to tell like dirty fucking jokes
Right.
and be enlightened or whatever.
I'd had this conversation with David at some point because just the idea of people projecting in the group, for example, people just projecting so much authority on him or me or whatever in terms of, oh, you don't like, you're supposed to have this amount of integrity because you're an Enneagram teacher. And part of just being yourself on the pod and just talking about whatever creepy shit that we're into, because we are creepy human beings, because that's totally fine. And that sort of to get people aware that I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care about these sort of ideas of what you think a teacher or a spiritual person should be. That in a way, it's paving the way and allowing certain types of people that didn't feel that they had a place in spirituality to feel like. And this is for me like what was so discouraging about finding the Enneagram. It's like I'm into this thing, but I'm looking around and I can't relate to anybody, and I don't feel like there's any sort of pathway for me to relate to anybody. But now it's like being ourselves on this podcast and just fucking being creepy or whatever and being sexual and making inappropriate jokes is like allowing certain people who didn't feel like they could engage with this stuff to feel like, oh yeah, these guys are just normal people. They're not like trying to like uphold a certain kind of image that's unrealistic, or anything like that. And they're engaging spirituality in a real way. So that's one of the best things about what we do.
Yeah, I
agreed.
will say I have been able to kind of come into my own a little bit more, even though I'm like sexual blind and have no idea what I actually like. Like
She likes us. I mean,
I
that.
like you guys, and it's helped like listening to like you guys talk about politics and your views and stuff, because it's kind of helped me solidify mine. So like it's helped me have conversations about like Black Lives Matter and how our government is fucked, and like important conversations that I'm happy that I'm able to have like with my parents and stuff.
What she's
but
trying
I
to say is
wouldn't-
that social blinds are the best.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I wouldn't have been able to like solidify my views and feel confident in my views and like okay in having them if I
Mhm.
wasn't with you guys on this pod.
You know, one thing I was going to ask you is just like, I'm curious to what is it like dealing with a bunch of social blind dudes? Like, what are some things that stand out to you? Because I don't even know. It's hard to know, like, what the fuck is it like to be social blind, from a perspective of someone who's not?
It's mostly annoying.
Like,
Um,
when does it stand out to you that we are social blind? Like, when is it obvious that,
you guys did something specifically recently where I screenshotted it and sent it to Brian with like a face palm because I was like, dear Lord, like
What?
what did we do?
I
In the
can't
group
remember.
chat or what?
Oh,
It was I like screenshotted something you guys said in the group chat and I sent it to him with a face palm because I was like, oh my god, I have to spell it out for them. Like
was this something to do with the love line that we weren't aware that people were going to be
yes, I think it was that. It was that. You were like, why would they be afraid to call in? And I was like, oh my god.
we hadn't even spelled it out for people like what the purpose of the love line was going to be. It was just like, here's a number, call in.
And you
No
were like,
context.
I had to like explain performance anxiety to you. And you were like, oh, they get performance anxiety. I'm like, sure, whatever you need to fucking frame it as. Like, that's what happens.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's kind of like you're all very literal, and I am not.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Yeah, I don't understand.
What do you mean by that? Literal in what sense? Like we just like,
Oh my god. There's no reading in between the lines unless it's
Mhm.
about sex.
What lines?
Exactly.
What are the lines?
The lines of conversation.
we have one context.
No, you have two contexts. You have normal conversation that you don't understand, or you have sex, and that's it. That's your two That's your two
There's more than that
filing
that
cabinets.
exist.
That's like what other conversations should I be having
What
here?
matters?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
It's funny because people will comment like, "Oh, poor Nancy," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like,
I haven't seen those comments.
yeah.
Yeah, and the positive part of it is you guys don't have any of that social bullshit veil where I'm like, oh, sorry, oh, thank you. Like I have to like play the game. Like there's none of that.
There's
It's just
no game.
straightforward and it's glorious.
Yeah, yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah.
It is glorious. Yeah.
Yeah.
People talk about that, from the meetups. There's this certain vibe that I guess we have that anything goes. Nobody cares what you do. Like whatever you're into, you're into. We're all here to have fun, and no one's gonna judge you for whatever it is you're into. And I think maybe that's a pervasive vibe with the group and the pod that whatever it is, whatever your kink is, no one's gonna judge you
No
for
one
that.
gives a shit.
Nobody gives a shit, like we're all our own self-contained little balls of insanity, and that's fun. So we've done the most popular episodes, most favorite moments. Let's talk about guests. Who, I mean, besides Courtney, because she's dominated this podcast
Right.
with her appearances.
God damn it, Courtney.
Yeah. We've had on a lot of guests, and I'm not gonna name them all, but any sort of memorable guests, is that too judgmental to highlight people that we like
That's
as
a good
guests?
question. Nancy, you have to
might
tell
be.
us.
Yeah, it might be.
Okay, let's skip that.
I know a few people who would get upset.
Oh, shit.
favorite guest, least favorite guest.
Who's
Don't-
bad?
Who's bad guest?
Who's a bad?
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
bad idea.
totally. Who's the worst guest
We would go there.
by
But
far.
Nancy would,
Nancy would die.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm kind of
Cringe.
dying right now a little bit.
right now, right in this moment.
Love it.
I can't believe that we've only gotten 4 voicemails. It really baffles me. Like I can't
It's
really.
really bothering you.
I'm like, I can't believe that that's how many we've gotten. What? We're gonna have to really work to make this left line a thing.
I think we should do another love line. I hope after people have heard it.
It's not happening. There hasn't been a single.
But
fucking
I don't know if people
voicemail.
think that we're still doing it. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we
we
should
gotta
definitely
push it.
make an Instagram post about it again.
yeah, we're doing love line part 2. So call the fuck in.
Okay. Also, recently we've gotten some butt hurt. Like we were at 5, perfect rating 5.0, and it seemed like with the new
Oh,
influx
really?
of do
Do we have
and
some butthurt reviews?
not reviews, but just
darn
ratings.
it.
Like the last, like we're down to 4.7, which means like 5 people have given us a 1 star, which is like
That's good,
I'm
though.
always disappointed that
no, it's
people
yeah.
don't leave reviews when they put 1 star. You fucking
Yeah, you coward. Fucking leave a
say
review.
what you mean.
Fuck you.
Yeah. You can't leave a
Yeah,
1 star and
just
just
say-
be like, wasn't good, didn't like it. No, fuck you.
Be specific.
Even saying fuck you and you guys cuss too much or whatever. Just whatever.
David's a creep. He's weird. We
David's
hate
a
his mouth
creep.
noises.
Listen to his fucking weird laugh.
his random
David's
laugh
throat
out of
clearings in my ear.
It's always 2 seconds too late laugh.
2 seconds delay.
Yeah, you do have a
Benign
delay.
delay.
When you laugh at things, you're like, pause. It's like, oh god.
Where did that come from?
Yeah.
Any other things about this year?
Oh yeah, we just want to thank people who've sent in money.
Yeah.
BB's sent us the most money, so thanks to her.
Thank you,
number
BB.
number one patron, Sarah.
Thank
I think has
you.
sent us some money. She was the first one to send us a voicemail, so she's amazing.
A hero.
Everyone who's ever
Queen.
helped us this year as a guest, reviews. Anyone who's ever sent in reviews, thank you. Don't forget, we have our PayPal is bhepodcast@gmail.com. If you haven't sent in a donation, shame on you. Send a donation today.
Shame.
You should definitely donate to us before you
Yeah.
donate to Wikipedia. We're more important.
$5-10, like come on. Your favorite podcast, Enneagram podcast on the planet. You should be helping us make this thing a reality. But yeah, next year is just I'm excited because we're just
I'm
getting
so
warmed
excited.
up. Just
I feel
getting
like
warmed up.
this podcast is gonna be better next year, and I feel like the world is gonna be worse.
Yes, I agree.
I
it's
feel
gonna
like
be
I feel like it's
real
a
bad.
perfect, like, if you graph it on a line, it's it has the same grade going up and down. When the world
Yeah.
starts going down more, the Enneagram podcast starts going up.
You guys
Listen.
don't think Uncle Joe's going to save the world?
Yeah.
God. No, Uncle Joe.
Yeah, the most
he
pro
was a
austerity
judge.
fucker that ever existed.
God.
When Trump is like, yeah, give people $2,000 a month or whatever, and Biden is like, no. It's
Yeah, right.
Seriously, man.
Dark town.
You know
Dang,
what?
man,
That should be a thing. Is just like the love line is complaints, complaint call.
Oh my gosh, yes. If people want to call in and bitch about us, that would be
Yeah.
amazing.
Oh man, that would be.
I think we get a lot to that too. We
Yes,
get-
people should call in and roast us.
Oh, big time. What's wrong with us?
What's
Oh,
wrong
yes.
with BHE? What's wrong with Enneagrammer? Like everyone, that's basically most of the press that we get is people just shit talking.
true.
Like why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? Not a 4th thing. Do they hate 4s? Do they hate themselves?
Why do they cuss so much and talk about sex?
Yep. Yep. That's the biggest one. People are like, this is a great podcast, but you really need to be careful because they really talk about some like
I
sexual
always
shit.
I always think it's so funny when people are like, "Oh yeah, you have to watch out. Like they aren't not safe for work." Like
Like it didn't say that on the podcast, like
Right.
explicit rating. Didn't warn you about like the big hormone name wasn't enough to tell you that you were stepping in some fucking juicy territory.
Well, it's also so shocking to me what people find like abrasive. It's like,
Mhm.
oh
Yeah.
no, like I don't think we're all that bad.
We're not. We're not
No,
at all.
not at all.
It's just people are so fucking sheltered from the world that I think we're just we're basically normal. We could be so much more inflammatory. Like that's like
Oh,
we're not
Oh
even
man.
yeah.
like we're not even
Beyond.
pushing any boundaries. Like I've listened to podcasts that are like we're talking about like incest and like you could really go in there and really just to piss people off.
It's basically people getting insulted by soft porn.
Yes. Exactly.
That's what it's like.
No, I think we're just ahead of our time and there's going to be eventually uh another large group of people that are going to discover the Enneagram, and once that happens, it's going to be like there's going to be a real demand for content that's not like
Yeah.
centered around the white evangelical or self-help professional sort of way of looking at things. And so when that happens, our pod is going to blow the fuck up. That's what I believe is going to take place.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna go viral for another like maybe year. I'll give it in
At
another
least,
year.
yeah.
And then people will find us and they'll just binge us and be like, oh
Yep.
shit.
Yeah, exactly. Anything else to wrap up the year?
I think next year, with my book will come out, and we'll do a
Yes,
bunch of
yes.
instinct,
Ooh,
a lot of
yes.
instinct stuff. Go heavy in instincts that we've only touched on to a
Right.
small degree this year.
When do you think that you're going to actually release? What month?
I don't know. It's always this thing where I think it's just around the corner, and then it doesn't happen. So, but it's, I mean, like,
What's in the way right now? What's slowing things down?
so basically, I got it formatted by Cameron Schilling, which shout out to Cameron, very appreciate. And then was working with a friend of mine who's in publishing to figure out actual like printers, and then as well as distribution and shipping services. She gave me the feedback that the first chapter was so dense that she tried to read a couple times, and it was hard for her to pick up or keep going, even though she was interested. And so I rewrote the first two chapters and reorganized them. So I need to get those reformatted. But I think at this point now it's like ready to go. Like I think
Yeah.
the book is the written part is ready to go. And like I understand what she meant. Like I went in like hardcore, and like it's not a easy book, generally speaking.
Yeah.
That's
Um
shocking.
yeah, the feedback I get is that it's very like it's academic, and it's like, that's the kind of books I read. And
Right.
I can write. I feel like I have a second book I'm already writing that I feel like is going to be funnier and more accessible and simpler. But anyway, yeah, so I just got to send it, like I got to get it proper, the last revision properly formatted, then I can send it off to a printer, and I got to figure out who's going to distribute it and all that kind of shit.
Okay. Hopefully, like by March.
I hope so. That's really my hope. I mean, I hope I can get it sent to a printer this month
Okay.
or January.
So on my book, I've got a I've got a book dominatrix. Okay,
Nice.
Jesse Black, right?
God,
You have
she's
another
great.
dominatrix?
Yeah,
Oh.
and
David.
and she, yeah, hardcore. And so,
You got competition.
yeah, that's right. That's what I'm trying to inspire Nancy, right? So
No, I'm loving that.
this is crazy, right? But she's saying, I need to make a 9-month goal, a goal of it being ready in 9 months. So yeah,
Jesse's
and
great.
Jesse's great, and she's a dominatrix, right? So, and that's good, and I probably need to be sure to be checking back in with her and kind of having her still dominate me, right? So,
Yes.
so, but she had a good point too. I mean, like partly it's the way that I'm formatting the book is such that it should just
Not take that long.
it should not take that long, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
in other words, it should, like, 9 months is reasonable. So,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Like
anyway,
a book like John's is a difficult book to put together
Yeah.
because he's really
Yeah.
going super deep research wise. But a book like yours is just like an organizational issue in terms of
that's all it is.
that's
all
really
it is.
all it is. Because it's a lot of visual aid stuff, but the ideas are already all there. It's kind of like how do you put it together, and that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
What else coming up in 2021? Not a 4 books launching.
On the not a 4 thing, so like What else? Like, can we get
Well-
specific about what we might do in that? Because I
Well,
mean, we need to keep going with that.
Right. Like I think a monthly kind of like the Loveline thing is to have like a monthly or semi-monthly, making that the show where you're just doing not a four stuff. I think would be a huge hit. Um, and then of course like building out a website because there's a lot of because what I do is I do pay attention to the shit that you guys are doing because I just want to lift whatever good comments because it's like to me it's like this can't go to waste. It's like you're just commenting and responding to people can't just be a conversation that's not used in some kind of way. So if I like something, I'll save it. And so I've got like a whole document of not a four comments that I've been saving for the past year or so, and in anticipation to put that somewhere. And so like doing the website where people ask like, where should I go to read more about four and not a four stuff or whatever. So having a website would be good. I just think it's something that could become a bigger thing in terms of either a regular part of the show or even like a book.
It's a way of breaking a certain glass floor
Mhm.
of like where people are willing to look in terms of
Mhm.
understanding their type. It's like who cares who's a 4 or not?
It feels like not a four is an octave of kind of addressing this entire not looking deeply into the Enneagram thing. Like you don't have to do not a five, not a eight, or not all these types. Like not a four represents this. Oh, you're just going off like buzzwords and you haven't deeply looked in the
Right.
Enneagram. And whether you're a four, you think you're a four or not, like going back and looking deeply at what you think these types mean is what you need to do. So like I think it's a good pivot point to really step on the gas with that sort of idea that people need to, let go of their preconceived notions of what these types mean based on the very limited exposure that they've had and fucking get deeper into this stuff.
Right.
I love being drunk. I forgot this was fun.
Yeah, this is good.
I think
This
I
is
might
really good.
smoke more often while we podcast. This has been really fun.
I don't think we should end I don't think we should end this call ever.
I disagree.
It should be a live stream. Just live stream it.
That's
It
it.
would be a live stream of Nancy sleeping.
Yeah, you'll hear Nancy sleeping. You'll have us having sex. Just
Mhm.
daily lives, whatever.
I could definitely do the pod drunk. Like I thought, yeah, 100%. I could definitely
Mhm.
do the pod drunk. I mean, maybe not like deep stuff, but just the love lines. We could definitely do this drunk.
Oh,
my
that'd be
God,
fun.
Yeah. That would be so
big time.
fun.
Anyway, dudes,
All right. Yeah.
Anyway. Well, this has
has
been fun.
This is
it's
good.
been fun.
Yeah.
I mean, we premiered our show at the beginning of 2020, and
Mhm.
Yep.
so it's kind of cool to have like almost an entire fucking full year of doing our thing.
It is.
Been great. Next year is going to be even better. We're just warming up.
Anybody got any complaints or problems with us doing this podcast? Like of the four of us?
No.
I mean, have we received any complaints?
No, I mean like Emeka, David, Nancy, or me. Is there any negatives?
Oh.
Like I don't have any negatives.
No, fuck no.
No.
Really no.
Nope.
No. Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah.
Cool.
David's mouth noises, of course.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
awful. They're
It's always a
Well,
problem.
They have now added to the zeitgeist of they are
So-
part of the fabric of
I
what
told
we do.
David he needed to add a thing to his Patreon of like monthly voice, sensual voice notes.
ASMR.
'Cause, I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
people are like, I think he's probably got like a little fan club of women that are just
Dude,
imagining.
what I mean, like I've always observed the way women go crazy for David, but it's just like another level. It's just so hilarious.
Yeah.
Constant.
Like-
I don't even understand it myself anymore.
He's just a sensual beast. And women
He's a
can,
fucking 9. I'm telling you, 9s are magical.
right.
people can feel that. It's like, oh, I bet he'd fuck me.
Real good.
All right. I'll take that.
So yeah, David's a sex worker over here.
That's it. That's all it's ever been about.
Yep. I'd pay for it.
All right, I'd watch.
Yeah,
make you a sandwich.
I want to see this cocaine off Nancy's ass thing. Like, I'm here to observe.
Sounds like a plan for 2021 meetup.
Yeah,
All right.
we got to make that
There we go.
happen.
There we go.
Anyway,
Anyway, I'm gonna go to bed.
all right.
Bye.
Happy New Year, all.
Happy New Year.
All right.
All right.
Later.